So this is the next video that is part of the series of things to ask and things to know before you book your next cruise. And don't do it online. Call them. Hello, I'm Ray.
And I'm Barbara.
And we love to go on cruises.
We want to share our experiences and our knowledge with you in hopes to inspire and educate.
So we could be a blessing to others who share our passion. So another good thing to keep in mind when you book your cruise, depending on how far out you book, because this one that we just happened to be, or that we just booked a few days ago or a couple weeks ago or whatever, we were basically 2 months out. So, essentially we kind of running as late as, you can pretty much get. I mean, I know you can do the like last minute deals or whatever, but it's pretty much to the point where we had to make the final payment when we booked. And so there's a difference between a refundable and a non-refundable deposit. And obviously, if you're booking a year out or even longer, whatever, it makes sense to get a refundable,
right,
in case you happen to have any situation like you have to cancel or whatever, then, 9 times out of 10, you're going to get most of your money back or future cruise credit, whatever. But in this particular case, we were literally 2 days away from
final payment date.
Yeah. So
I mean, the fact that they were even going to give us a refundable rate, they're going to try to make as much money as they can, but obviously it costs more for a refundable rate. So yeah, they're like, well, payments in 2 days or whatever date. And so we're like, well, that doesn't even make sense. So so that's another thing to consider if you're one of the people who book really close to the cruise. You may already be aware of this, but why even consider a refundable? You might as well save that money if you're going to make that final payment. So that's something to be aware of, because again, we actually have booked very far in advance for quite a while now. So we've always said we need a refundable rate. We don't know for sure. And like I said, ironically, we've only canceled this one last cruise, but this was something that popped up and we're like, wow, I never really considered that before, because we've always had time to make the payments to the cruise. So that's something to be aware of, is that you can save quite a bit just from saying, well, I'm going to book, right at the payment date, and then you're going to get the best rate, for that room as being a non-refundable.
Yeah. So the next thing we wanted to find out about is, what if we had to cancel?
Yeah. After that recent cancellation, we wanted to make sure we had no questions about what was going to happen. So when we asked if we were going to cancel for this specific cruise, especially since we were going to do the non-refundable rate, which, we were so close to the date anyway, she said it would be the non-refundable deposit is what we would basically forfeit. With the three of us, there's 3 of us going, we would lose $300. So that was one thing. I said, well, what about if we rescheduled or changed the date? She said, you would get your deposit back, ironically, because we were getting the insurance, but you would get penalized $100 per person for a change date fee. So again, it'd be $300, but
so essentially the same. Yeah.
Right. And then she said, though, with the insurance that we were getting, they have this policy with the insurance through their line. It's a third party, but she said you cancel for any reason, you get 90% refundable of whatever, the cruise cost, but it would be in future cruise credit. So that was something new for us, because we kind of expected that you would get your money back, but this is a future cruise credit. So we're like, oh, that's something to consider. And the same thing, she's like, you would get 100% of the payment that you made, or the money that you made, as long as you could give proof. Like if you had sickness, accident, injury, death, natural disaster, if you were called to active duty, or if you were got a subpoena. So, that's another thing to be aware about that we never thought about. You may not get your money back. You may just get a future cruise credit. So that's another thing that kind of was something good for us to ask, because I wanted to know exactly what we're getting, or what can come up, even though we wouldn't expect to cancel the next couple months, but you never know.
Yeah, I think, thankfully, one good thing about what COVID, brought us is that we've learned a lot, right, with, not we, but the whole cruise industry and everything like that, vacationing and things like that. So, and actually, if you haven't checked out our COVID video, we should go check that out too, but shameless plug. But one thing that, like, let's say if you had to cancel because you got COVID 2 days before, obviously they're not going to want you to go on a cruise, when you have COVID-19 or any upper respiratory infection, or any infections or something like that, because we know that, cruising is a huge way of getting, sick. So you're exposed to a lot of people and whatnot. So I think the insurance is definitely worth
trying
it.
To give you that comfort, knowing that you're not going to lose out and not go on the cruise if you're if you can spread stuff. But and then also along with that, again, we did do the insurance, and when I asked her, can you tell us what it covers? You know, she said that, you know, it's for trip interruption, emergency evacuations, any medical coverage while you're on the cruise and stuff like that. So, and it may have some other little stipulations where it covers, you know, the specifics, but that's what she had told us. So that's another thing is, you know, we've learned to find out what we're getting with what, you know, when we say, okay, we're going to go through this insurance, what do we get for that? Or what kind of coverage would we have?
Yeah, I mean, that's huge. I mean, obviously, you don't expect or anticipate anything bad to happen on your cruise, but I know we've been on cruises where people have needed to be flown
Evacuated.
out, you know, evacuated.
Yeah,
like
we've had the helicopters.
Yeah, they had the helicopter come in and, you know,
Yep.
rescue people or, you know, pick up somebody up. So, I mean, God forbid that's you, but,
Yeah,
you know.
but then you don't have that stress of, oh my gosh, how much is, well, I'm sure it's probably going to be stressful, but, you know, then at least the other monetary side, you're like, well, at least I have something that's covering or at least helping with this. And another thing with our son, actually, when he was little, he he gashed his lip. We don't even know how. We were
We're parents of the year here. We were out getting drinks, and he was with
a family member.
he was with our sister-in-law.
And we come back and they're in the hallway and she has this washcloth and it's bloody on his lip and we're like, oh my gosh, what happened? And it literally, if we hadn't already pushed off to sea, I would have yanked him off. I would have been off the cruise, but actually it worked out very well. We took him down to the medical facility. Amazing team. And he actually had to get 5 stitches.
Yeah, a few stitches.
Yeah,
and
he gashed with his tooth into his lip, like 5 stitches.
yeah, I mean, and that experience was pretty insane because, like, first of all, I think he was like 4 or 5 years old.
Yeah,
right?
he was young.
Yeah, he was just a little. I mean, but he was such a trooper. You know, he was sitting there playing.
He didn't cry.
Playing video games
Yeah.
on our phone.
Yeah.
While he was getting
While he
his
was getting
stitches
his
on. Yeah. And the doctor was amazing. The nursing
Absolutely
staff
amazing.
was amazing. I mean, and then they checked on him throughout the cruise and stuff.
Yeah,
so.
and didn't cost us
Yeah.
didn't cost us a thing.
Yeah.
So that was pretty amazing. But yeah, so anyway, so it's good to know and be prepared. And, you know, I can't say that, you know, that if that ever happened to you, that it wouldn't cost you something. I really don't know. But in our experience, that's what happened. So, you know, but again, it's good to know what you get if you do get their insurance or if you choose a different insurance. So, yeah.
So we're going to continue this in the next video because it's gotten pretty long already. So don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next video.